that I think need to be said and important. I have tried very hard to be professional and polite to everyone that's been on the property with me. I appreciate y'all have come out. But some things need to be said. First of all, we repeated over and over again that we had concerns about the... So first of all, I am not anti-roundabouts. The one down on the east end is probably the perfect place where a roundabout looks like it will fit a problem. I am all over the Metroplex, and I see roundabouts that work beautifully. I also see where they are a mistake. I know engineers are professional and very good at what they do, but I will remind you that a few years ago, everybody got the idea that speed bumps were great, and they put them everywhere and spent millions of dollars of doing that. Then we spent millions of dollars to remove them. Some of you a little bit older than that will remember when the engineers decided that every entrance ramp on every freeway in the Metroplex needed stoplights to tell you when you can get on the freeway, when you can't.
I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah. A couple years later, we spent millions of dollars removing them all. So all of these are challenging, and I think that's the biggest problem I have, is that when we find something that works, we automatically think that it works everywhere. We've done a lot of modeling, as he mentioned, a lot of data, and I've just cried and screamed over and over that the data was incorrect. It was being collected incorrectly. I've told Eric that time and time again, the fact that you go to the base and find out that Saturday is the busiest day on the base, so that's when we do traffic counts. Well, I've also said that I think this roundabout at this intersection will work fantastic 80-90% of the time. I'm concerned about the time of day that you came out and joined me just recently when some people witnessed what I've been screaming. I am not an expert, but I'm probably as much of an expert on that intersection as anybody anywhere. Even the people that live there or people that own property there are not watching the cars coming to a screeching halt. They don't see the sign being knocked down every couple of days, couple of weeks, I exaggerate. The fire hydrant, in case people are wondering, that's not the stop sign, that's a fire hydrant across the street. Those have both been two different accidents. But we kept saying early on that we were concerned about the roundabout, and we kept being told, oh, we're just at 60%, we're just at 60%. Now we're here at 90%. I was told by Jill the other day at the meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, we'll have an argument when I will. You told me that all of the information gathered before is not really what matters. These cards filled out today, you told me if you have concerns, you need to put it in writing, you need to put it in this card, and you need to fill it in. This is what's going to be on the record.
Yes, those comment cards will be on the record, and they become part of that environmental document, so that's part of the official public involvement. That's part of the TxDOT NEPA requirement.
Okay.
So we have made notes of the town hall meetings that we've done, but again, without any formal record keeping other than the fact that we attended, there hasn't been a tremendous amount of votes. I think the only other public involvement meeting that we had that's kind of on the record would be some Saturday workshops we had with council, and then
We had several with the council, and then John and I had several extra meetings where everyone put in, not minutes, but literally hours a few times to discuss these things with some intelligent, come back and report here where nobody really heard what we had to say. But my point is, now we had this meeting, I understand circumstances, but really, if those records are important, it has been overwhelming that people do not want to see a roundabout there. Does that mean that if everybody was contacted, that we may, only the passionate ones that are against it are the ones showing up? That's entirely possible. But what has been very obvious is that the phone calls that have been made by people I've never even heard of, want to know what's going on, and the people commenting about the four-way stop sign, they're so glad that terrible temporary four-way stop sign, which is saving kids. They think that's the answer to the problem instead of the dreaded roundabout. My point with all this rambling is that we had a meeting that got iced out. To throw a meeting together that evidently is that important and have it between 3 and 5 p.m. on a Thursday with less than a week's notice, I talked to very few people that know that it exists. Then, I understand the notifications that are going out. I understand people have, Marvin has done an awesome job of putting it in the water bills. Every one of these meetings, people don't show up. I don't know the answer to that, other than doing what I did, which is get out and knock on every door up and down Meandering. And when I did that, I didn't reach everybody, but we got about 70–80% of the houses. We had one person for a roundabout, one person that didn't care. Everybody else was adamantly opposed to it. Everybody wants the project. Everybody wants the road improved. There's no question about that. But if these cards were important, then they need to be ripped up. And we need to have a meeting, we need to get the cards to people that really have the opportunity, because I was in the meeting, I was there, I stayed the whole time. I only saw 4 or 5 people even show up that weren't our normal, even our council and mayor weren't able to make it, just Councilman Chisholm and myself, who's retired, and I work here in the city, so, and I have a little bit of stake that had to travel from Egypt to be here for it.
But I think the rest of us probably did send in comments, email comments.
What's the presentation?
So,
okay, so I didn't even know that was available, because anyway. But I feel like that wasn't accurate. Like I say, I probably lost my cool in front of Dan a few times, getting frustrated with all this. But the point is,
you're passionate for your city. I don't have any problem.
I am passionate about my city. I'm passionate about the property that I think is being ruined by this. That's not where these decisions have come from. I wanted to know how the citizens felt about it. But there's been a couple of things stated at that meeting and other meetings that aren't correct as well. Mr. Payne made a mistake, and I heard him tell more than one person that all 4 people in that intersection were for that. I understand now that Brad is, but I have never been for it. You guys have done a great job of trying to make it better, and I thank you for that, and I appreciate your efforts. It still does not make me prefer a roundabout over, and talking about sitting somewhere, to me, we know it can be done. You told us before that vote that took place that you agreed that it probably wasn't, roundabout was probably not the safest thing for pedestrians and bicycles. I understand from your statement today, maybe you've talked to people that changed your mind, but that statement was made that night.
I'll respond to that. People have changed my mind because we're building so many more of them throughout the region. And it comes in completely back to the context. Councilman, one of the things that's really difficult when you just throw out there, how do you feel about roundabouts? There is such a huge perception of what a roundabout can or can't be. And depending on where you lived, and was it 6 lanes, was it 3 lanes, was it 40 miles an hour? I mean, even people talk about the Weatherford traffic circle being a roundabout. It's a Benbrook traffic circle. So the problem is when you just throw it out there, do you want a roundabout? It can create all kinds of ideas in people's minds about what are we actually talking about. And that's why I keep trying to stress and have it over and over. We're trying to slow people down. We don't need you to stop. We just need you to slow down. If you're going 5 miles an hour and you see a reason to stop, you're going to be able to stop. But when you have a 4-way intersection, and this is why this is safer, 4-way stops can be run, and people are going 45...
They're doing it every day right now.
Yeah, I mean, people are going 45, 50 miles an hour up and down Meandering, and a 4-way stop, somebody's going to run that.
That is to say, red light, green light for them.
Yes.
They're just like green light for gas.
Yeah, so all we're trying to do, and we can't put speed bumps out there, we've never made a road.